Hi guys, this is Antonie Paterakis, and thank you for joining us for episode 81.
Hi, this is Daniel Goodman.
Dylan Wang from JPerm.
Ian Scheffler.
Pyraminx from India.
This is Alex from Z3 Cubing.
What's up, guys? This is Jaden McNeil from Australia, and you're listening to the Corner Cutter Podcast.
That's right. Welcome to the Corner Cutter Podcast. Podcasting since 2014 and cubing since 2015. I'm your host, Josh, and this is the most consistent speed cubing podcast dedicated to entertain and educate you with in-depth conversations with cubers from all across the sport. My website is thecornercutterpodcast.com, and you can find links, show notes, and other great resources on the website as well. Today's interview is with Antonie Paterakis from the Netherlands. Now, one of the unique things about Antonie, and that would be helpful to know before listening to this interview, is although he represents Greece, he actually has lived almost his whole life in the Netherlands, and that is currently where he goes to most of his competitions in the Netherlands. And we have some discussion about this in the interview. A few other things about Antonie is he holds most of the national records for Greece. He has a 4.89 3x3 single, as well as a 7.09 3x3 average. Another event he's very good at is 2x2, and he has a 1.44 average there. Being a member of the WCA since 2012, Antonie has competed in 67 competitions and has official results in 17 out of the 18 WCA events. And he is also sponsored by Speed Cube Shop, and we get into that in a little more detail in the interview as well. If you have any feedback or just have a couple comments or questions on something we mentioned in today's interview, don't hesitate to email. My email address is josh@thecornercutterpodcast.com. And now let's jump into today's interview. Hey, Antonie, thanks for joining me today on the Corner Cutter Podcast.
Hey Josh, thank you so much for having me.
Well, what's something interesting about yourself that most people don't know?
I think something that many people don't know or don't know yet is that I used to play clarinet when I was younger, when I was like 9 or 10. But I stopped with that. It was like a class in school for 2 years. But then after I went on to high school or secondary school, I should say, I didn't continue with it.
Okay.
So yeah, that's like a non-cubing thing that I think many people don't know about me.
Mm-hmm. So you kind of have like a music background then?
Not necessarily, because before playing the clarinet in the 5th grade and 6th grade, I didn't really play any instruments. For a while, after I moved to secondary school, I was thinking of maybe continuing it, but at some point when we were doing practices at school, I was like, I'm not really having fun anymore, so I'd rather just continue cubing, have more practice for that.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, what has been the biggest accomplishment in your cubing career?
I find it very hard to choose between two. So my main event is 2x2, and I have had 2 very big accomplishments in that, or actually 3. So in 2016, I set the European record for 2x2 average at a time of 165. And then the year after that, in 2017, I won the World Championship in 2x2. And then last year in the summer, I won the 2018 European Championship in 2x2. So I'm a bit in between the World Championship win and the European Championship win, because the European Championship win was in general a better performance, as throughout the 4 rounds I got first in 3 of the rounds and second in 1 of the rounds, and eventually winning. But evidently the World Championship is a bigger stage and a bigger title. While my performance in the first, second, and third round at the World Championship wasn't as good, I did end up winning in the final. So I'm not really sure. I'd say the World Championship was my biggest accomplishment in itself, the win, and the European Championship last year was my best performance in general.
Okay. Now, you hold most of the national records for Greece. Which one did you get first?
So a fun fact about that is, back when I started, Greece didn't actually have many national records. So, when an event hasn't been, a Greek person hasn't done a specific event, there's not going to be a national record for it. So, in fact, my first ever official attempt was Pyraminx. And because no Greek ever had done Pyraminx, because there weren't any competitions in Greece to host Pyraminx, my first ever national record was a Pyraminx single, and my first ever official attempt in any event, and it was, I think, like 15 seconds. So that's that.
Whoa, that's so interesting.
Yeah, a fun fact is that I didn't actually find out that it was a national record until 3 months later, while I was on holidays. I think it was the first time I was going back to Greece to see family after I learned how to solve a Rubiks Cube, and we were checking out my results on my profile, and I was like, hey, this thing says NR. What would that mean, So that way I found out, which was pretty funny, not realizing at the moment.
So are there competitions held often in Greece, or?
So a small problem with Greece is obviously the economic crisis affected them a lot, and the community is really, or the population is very dense at the capital, and around it is very, the population isn't very dense. So the delegate who lives in the capital tries to organize 1 or 2 comps a year. Unfortunately, he had an accident last summer, so he couldn't organize a competition then, and since then the frequency has gone down a bit. They tried to organize at least 1 or 2 competitions a year, and they actually had one in 1.5 weeks, which is very nice. It's going to be a huge competition for Greek standards, I suppose, with 120 competitors, and Erno Rubik is going to be there, so that's really cool.
Oh, that's really interesting. Cool.
Yeah, it's like I think it's like a math festival or something. I'm not really sure. I didn't look into it too much because unfortunately I will not be able to attend, which I'm really disappointed about. So yeah, that's really unfortunate.
Yeah. What is it like representing another country when you live in another? Because I know Saranj Grover, he was featured on this podcast back in episode 28. He represents India, but he currently lives in the US. So, and at a competition I organized, he got the ASR for Pyraminx average.
Oh, wow.
So what's that like?
So in general, I don't get treated any differently. Like, I have my group of friends there, and they're acting like I'm just one of them. Like, in theory, Dutch, the language that we speak in the Netherlands, is my first language. However, the only moment I realize a difference is during the Dutch National Championship, where obviously I can't. The U.S. National Championship is unique in being able to give prizes and stuff to foreign people in the Netherlands, and I think in any other national championship, the prizes go only to the people from the nation. So that's the only moment I see the difference. Also, I've had some Dutch kids come up to me and start speaking English, which was quite funny because they didn't realize I spoke Dutch. So yeah, the I don't notice a lot from it. I would say.
Okay. Do you have plans on getting the national record for some of the other events like clock or feet? How far away from the national record are you in those events?
So feet, I'm very far away from it, just because I don't feel like practicing it, to be honest. And I mean, that's really my excuse for events like clock and feet. I don't practice them because I don't really like the events. So for feet, I don't even know what I average because I don't do any solves in them, even when they are hosted at competitions. For clock, I think the average national record is like around 8 seconds and a single is low 7. I average like just under 11, but I don't really practice it anymore. I practice it for a small period of time. I'm not really too interested in getting those back. Because I'm not focused that much on getting national records anymore. It has kind of gotten repetitive, I should say.
Okay. So how were you introduced to the Rubiks Cube?
All right. So I think back in 2011, I was really into card magic. So I would watch a lot of videos and try these very dumb very dumb and lame magic tricks, try to trick my parents or whatever, and it wouldn't work. And then I think it was like December 2011 that I saw a magic trick by an illusionist called, I think his name was Chris Angel, I'm not really sure. And it was a clip of him in a store where he had a scrambled up Rubiks Cube, and then he like covered it up with his hands. And then he threw it in the air, and when he caught it, it was solved. And then he like pushed it, and it became like candy. So as I said, like back then I was 10 years old, so I wasn't really the most clever kid. So I bought the cube, or I actually asked for the cube on my birthday, which is February 2012, and then I got the cube and then I tried to look up the tutorial to do that trick, and I couldn't find it, obviously. So I figured out, okay, let me try to solve this the difficult way, I should say. So then I solved it once, and then my sister was like, can I do like a couple of moves and then put them back? I'm like, sure, it's solved. The cube is solved now. I trust that you can put it back together, solved, and then I can put it on my shelf and never touch it again. And then she scrambled it, so I had to go ahead and solve it again. And then while searching for the tutorial again, I stumbled across speed cubing competitions, and I got really interested in that. And yeah, the rest is history, I suppose.
Wow. So if your sister hadn't scrambled the cube, do you think you would be where you are today?
I maybe not. I might have like eventually tried to solve it again. But yeah, I guess you could say that.
Wow, that's so interesting.
Yeah.
When did you realize, after a while of knowing how to solve the cube, that you were actually decent at the sport?
So my goal was always to get really good, but I always thought it would be a goal and a dream, and would always stay a dream and never become reality. So back in the day when I used to care about the national records, and when other people breaking my national records was more realistic, and it actually happened, which there was a competition in December of 2013. Some guy broke my 2x2 national record while I was there, which was very frustrating. So I was like, so let me just try to get good at 2x2 and beat him. So I learned a couple subsets. I don't exactly remember which subsets I learned. I think I finished CLL and learned some other stuff. And then I got good, I got better, like 2.7 average. I got back the national record 3 months later, and I started practicing more and more eventually until I got like 6th in Europe with a 2.3 average. In I think it was October of 2014 or 15. I'm not entirely sure. And then I was like, okay, well, maybe I can actually get very good at this. And I was actually, quote unquote, bullied by the older cubers, saying that my TPS was so high, it should be illegal. And like, wow, how can you solve a cube in 10 seconds when you're applying 100 moves in each solve and stuff like that? So I took that into consideration and thought to myself, wow, 2x2 is like mainly TPS. So maybe I could get good at this. And it went on from there, I suppose. Yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Do you have a favorite all-around competition?
It's mainly the bigger competitions that are the most fun. So I've gone to 3 very big ones: European Championship 2016 and 2018, and the World Championship 2017. I'd say the European Championship 2018 was my favorite competition because not only did I perform very well, I was a bit more autonomous there. Like I would go out and eat with my cubing friends rather than with my parents, which like isn't a problem, obviously, you know. But it's a bit more fun being with your friends. And yeah, as I said, my performance was very, very good. Like I don't think I was ever happier with the performance. Not only did I reach my goal of winning 2x2 there, but also very good results in other events. So yeah, I think that would be my favorite competition.
Okay, yeah, that sounds fun. What's your overall favorite cube or event?
My favorite event is without a doubt it's 3x3 because it's not too long, not too short, not too intuitive, not too algorithmic. You can variate a lot with it in techniques and tricks. So yeah, 3x3 without a doubt.
Cool. Okay. Do you solve any non-WCA puzzles?
I have a couple of them. And when I receive them, I can be like very obsessed with them for like a day or 3. Mm-hmm. And with very obsessed, I mean like practice those more than like WCA events, all other WCA events combined. So I was very obsessed with 4-layered Pyraminx by Chi, with the 2x2x3. I have a gear barrel that I got back from Worlds 2017, which I was very obsessed with for a while. But and obviously the what's it called? The Ready Cube. I've played around a bit with those, but only like when I received them and not at all afterwards. So yeah, okay. Not really, I would say.
You mentioned the Chi Master Pyraminx.
Yeah.
What results were you getting with that?
I think I averaged eventually like around 40-45 seconds with it.
Okay, yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah, as I said, I was very obsessed with it for like a solid three days.
Yeah. Would you like to see any events added to the WCA?
With the condition being that other events would be removed, then yeah, definitely. I think the WCA has like a good amount of events right now, and adding more would make large competitions even take longer. So I'd only say yes if that means other events get removed, such as speed and clock, because they're just a bit silly in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. What would you add?
That's a really tough question. I think, quote unquote, stealing something from the cup stacking sport would be cool, which is the relay thing. I'm not sure if you're familiar with Nations Cup that was done at Worlds. Are you familiar with that?
I'm not, no.
So basically, at the World Championship 2017, each nation formed a group of 3 cubers.
Oh yeah.
And what they did was like everyone solves a 3x3, and once the first person finishes, the second person starts, and so on. And I think that would be very, very interesting to do, as it's also something that's been done in cup stacking. So yeah, I think that will be very interesting.
That would be, yeah. It definitely is very exciting, and the pressure is on. For sure.
Definitely. The only problem I see with it is at local competitions, the top 4 cubers would just form a group together and beat the second place by a huge amount, which is the only real disadvantage I'd see.
Yep. What event could use improved hardware the most, in your opinion?
That's a tough question, because back in 2012, all the hardware was pretty bad compared to the hardware now. So I've seen a lot of improvement. I think the even layered big cube, so 4x4 and 6x6, could still be improved, because those still have some issues. I'd go with 4x4 and 6x6, and if I had to choose one of the two, I'd say 6x6.
Yeah, it's been amazing in the past year or so about the hardware, especially on budget cubes.
Yeah. So a funny thing is, I've heard somebody else mention this. It's over the years, the performance of budget cubes and standard or flagship cubes has come closer. However, the price of budget cubes has gone down, and the price of flagship cubes has gone up. Like, for example, back in 2014 or so, a flagship cube would cost $15, and a budget cube would be like 10, and the difference in performance would be very big. And these days, you can get budget cubes for I think like $5 or $6 or something, and you have expensive 3x3, like the new Ghana cube. I think it's like $60. Yet the performance between them has the difference has become smaller, in my opinion, compared to back in the day. And I think that's very interesting, and I think that's a very good development, especially for cubers on a lower budget.
I agree. Yeah, they're now releasing magnetic 3x3s,
it's
4x4s,
insane.
And 5x5s for like $10 or $15.
I totally agree. I think it's amazing what's happening in the cubing market. Yeah.
Can you see any other big changes coming up soon? Like, I know magnets was in 2016-ish.
Yeah.
Anything else?
So I know something that Speedcube Shop is producing, but I'm not sure how well that can be mass produced and like made on a big scale, which is improving the grip on a cube. So I recently got a 3x3 which had like a transparent sticker formed coating on the outside of the piece. Like, it looked so much like stickers that when I used it in a competition last week, people were coming up to me, like, I think it happened 20 times in the whole weekend, and they asked, "Dude, why did you have stickers on your stickerless cube?" Which was pretty funny to me, and I think that could help a bit, because it definitely helped me a bit in my grip and in my times. I think the sort of true characteristics every company has in their 3x3s, and that they have basically made trademark. I'm not sure if trademark is the correct word, but like for a GAN with their different springs and now interchangeable magnets, and MoU has a spring system in which you can adjust the strength of the spring with another click. I think those are very interesting, and it's too bad that we can't combine those into the same cube. I really can't think of anything. Otherwise, I would have started my own company and started producing them, I suppose.
Yeah. Well, I guess like companies are just making these small changes to their designs. Like MoU released that Cube with the little dips,
indents.
To kind of go with the Wingy Cube. Yeah, so I guess there's just small changes that can be made to improve hardware.
Yeah, it's interesting because if you'd ask somebody this question in 2014 or even earlier, I think they would give a similar answer, but give different examples. Like if the predicting cube hardware and cubing records in the future is really hard, and it seems every time we do it, we are way off with our predictions. So
yeah,
let's hope for the best.
Because if you do have a actual prediction, would you be like magnets? You couldn't predict magnets if you want to start doing it.
The thing is like when we think about it now, it's like, wow, it was actually like something that made a lot of sense. Why wouldn't we able to think of something similar to that? And then it gets found out by somebody discovers something that could help cubing hardware a lot, and then we're like, geez, that was like such a simple discovery that can help cube so much. So I'm really looking forward to upcoming development, really.
Now I guess one of the directions cubing is going is toward software with like the GAN-I or the Jiku Cube and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I think that's very cool, and like it could be helpful in terms of tracking reconstructions, because usually we would have to rescramble a cube and write out the whole reconstruction. But I think this could help us with that. Unfortunately, I don't think it could get picked up for more accurate timing in competitions, because I think being able to cheat with it, the opportunity somebody could have to cheat with it is just too big. So yeah, they're definitely cool, but I don't think they can help us too much with competitive speed cubing.
Yeah, that does make sense. Now, changing topics. Now, you have a 1.81 Pyraminx single and a 3.05 Pyraminx average. Do you actually enjoy that event?
I really like this question. I'm going to tell you about it in a bit. So I like to say I'm decent at Pyraminx. I don't practice it. I practice very rarely just to be somewhat fresh for competitions, because the competition in the Netherlands for Pyraminx is surprisingly good, having like 6 people that all have a very realistic shot at making podium. So we're all like good friends with each other. So it's funny to have it's fun to have competition with each other, but I don't actually enjoy it. The reason I love this question is because I have a good friend of mine, Rubiks Verstraeten. He has a Dutch national record in Pyraminx, and his main event is Pyraminx, and he practices it like all the time. And in the European championship finals, I somehow made it to the Pyraminx finals, and not only did I make it, I actually got 5th place in the finals. With my PB average was in the finals, and my friend Robin got 1 place behind me with an average that was 1/100th of a second slower than me. So we always like to fool around during Pyraminx rounds. So
wow.
Yeah, I think the main reason I have somewhat decent times in Pyraminx is because I use the L4E method, and the L4E method is quite intuitive. So that means I can apply my high TPS on it, and even my 2x2 one looking experience helps with one looking or looking ahead on Pyraminx. So that's the main reason I'd say I'm okay at Pyraminx. Yeah.
Yeah. It's my main event as well, and I have a official 3.39 average, so a little bit behind you. But yeah, it's an event I enjoy as well. Well, not as well, but I enjoy, and I do use intuitive L4E as well. So
yeah, I'm sure if you practice like consistently, you could beat me like easily. It's more of a mental barrier, honestly. These small events are a huge mental barrier. As soon as you get like let's say at your next comp you get a low 3 average, sub 3.4 averages will come way more often, even if you don't necessarily improve your global average, in my opinion.
Oh, wow. Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Changing topics again, do you ever cube in public?
I've avoided that in the past couple of years, mainly because like when I was 13, 14, 15, I wouldn't say when I started cubing, because I'd already been cubing for like 3 or 4 years. I kind of liked the tension, but the generic questions that non-cubers ask, like by now I can recite a conversation with a non-cuber that sees somebody solving a Rubik's Cube. I can recite it like in perfect detail, because all of them are the same, and like we make a meme out of it as cubers that all the non-cubers say the same thing, but it is exactly like that, and I've just gotten a bit tired of it. It sounds a bit arrogant or mean, I think, but it's just become a bit annoying having to deal with that. So no, I don't really cube in public unless I'm with other cubers. Then I tend to do it a bit more.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Now, have you ever gotten anything free because you're able or were able to solve a cube?
As in like non-cubing stuff, because at the moment I'm sponsored, so I get free stuff from there. So
yeah, more towards the non-cubing.
I have offered to solve a cube twice and then get something free, and one of the times it got denied. I was at an airport in Greece coming back from holidays. Like we were just leaving Greece to come back to the Netherlands, and they had a keychain cube, and I was like, yo, if I solve it, can I keep it? And he was like, no, but you can still show me that you know how to solve it. So that was a bit of unfortunately, especially because I think I was like 13 at the time, when I was very excited to see cubes somewhere else.
Yep. Uh-huh.
And oh wait, okay, I'm gonna get back on this after I say the following. In Spain, for the European Championship 2018, this was a very funny interaction. I was having dinner with my friends, and then one of the guys sent a scramble in our group chat, and he was sitting next to him. I was like, dude, what is a scramble? And he says, just scramble it and you'll see. And it was Felix's 4.24 or 4.22. I don't remember what it was. World record single. And I knew the solution. I just had a couple drinks there after I won the European title in 2x2. So we were having like a bit of fun, celebrating. So the bartender came to us, or not the bartender, the service guy from the restaurant. He was like, yo, you know how to solve? His English wasn't the best. I was like, yo, I can solve this for you if you give me like a free drink. And he was like, sure. And then I solved it, and then he didn't. So that's unfortunate.
Oh.
But I forgot, but now I remembered. At the European Championship, there was this booth. They were giving away power banks to anyone who could solve a cube in under 9 seconds, which was a big loss for their company, I think, because you had the best cubers in Europe there. Solving cubes in under 9 seconds was a piece of cake. So that's the only thing I got for free, I think. Yeah.
That's still pretty good.
Yeah, it was a very funny interaction, because the guy from the booth knew me. He was like, yeah, dude, you can solve cubes in 6 seconds. It's unfair.
Yeah. Uh-huh. Okay. You mentioned in some of the emails we were going back and forth that you take your education and studies seriously.
Yeah.
What goals do you have for your education?
So in the Netherlands, the high school or the secondary school system and is a bit complicated, meaning we have different levels. So every level has its respective college level. So like the highest level is like actual university, and I'm going to a University of Applied Sciences, which is directly under it. So my goal is to try to go to like a proper university, which is the level is just a tiny bit higher. So I'm in my first year now studying business economics, and I actually had my last exam just today and went really good.
Oh, good.
Yeah, it went very good actually. So my goal is to finish next year, my second year. The actual course is 4 years, but I'm hoping to finish next year, finish the next year, and then after that, to jump to a similar course on the highest level of university here. So that's going to be a bit of work because I'd have to take extra classes in some subjects because I don't have a high school diploma of a high enough level in some subjects. So yeah, that's my goal for now. And yeah, it's very exciting to study something that I really like, which is economics. So yeah.
Oh, good. So like future careers, what would that look like?
I'm really unsure still, but something that I find really, really interesting, something that I found out about recently is financial technology, which is anything from a banking app on your phone to mobile paying apps, stuff like that, you know. I also really enjoy marketing and economy, like macro and meso economy. I find it very interesting and fun, and finding a job that's related to that would be ideal. What like specifics, I'm not really sure yet. I'll have to see what comes down the road. But I think as long as I study something that I really like, I will be able to find a job that I really enjoy too. So that's my point of view on this. I think
that's cool. Yeah, that's great. You can study something that you enjoy.
Yeah, it's funny because in the Netherlands, in the school system, in 10th grade, you get to choose some profiles. That's what they call them, which is like a basic pack of which subjects, and 2 of them are more economy related and 2 of them are more science related. And I actually chose the science one, but on my extra subject was economy, and in those years that I had that pack, I found out that I enjoy economy a lot more than biology and physics and chemistry. So I decided to pursue that afterwards. Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting. What do you see happening with your cubing career over the next few years?
I hope it can last as long. I hope it can last for a long time because cubing is a very fun sport. I hope I can get better, especially in 3x3. I hope to get a lot better. But obviously, school is going to catch up as when I'm done with that. Other stuff is going to catch up. I just hope that I can have fun for the longest time, which is something that I've struggled with a bit in the recent times, like not having as much fun during cubing. So yeah, I'm just looking forward to having more fun than I'm having right now. Okay,
yeah. I forgot to mention this or ask you in the email, like, can you think of a couple stories quickly that are like fun memories that you could talk about?
No, it actually was in the email, I think.
Oh, it was?
Yeah, okay. I think it was. Anyways, yeah, I know one very funny story. It happened at my second ever cubing competition, which was in October of 2012, which is almost 7 years ago. So I met this kid. He was my age, and we were having like so much fun at that competition because at my first competition I didn't really speak to anyone. It was just with my parents, and we were in a very, very laughy mood. Like, I don't know what it was about. It was just in a very laughy mood. And then that was back in the days when pops and cubes used to happen a lot more frequently.
Mhm.
So I was just solving a 3x3 and like an edge and a corner pop. So yeah, that was funny at that point. So we started laughing even more. And then at that point, I reassembled the cube, but I put in an edge the other way around. So then I got up to last layer. And because I was in such a laughy mood, I didn't realize that I was solving a 3x3. So I started applying the parity alg, the 4x4 Ola parity alg on the 3x3. And that kid noticed it. He was like, dude, what are you doing? You can't do that. It's an impossible case. I'm like, oh my God, what am I doing? And then we started laughing more and more. And I remember the competition was in a very small venue. So everybody was looking at us, the two 11-year-old kids. That was very funny. And another moment was with a friend of mine. We were in a waiting area, and he was very roughly turning his 4x4. And I said, dude, watch out. It's going to explode or pop. And he was like, no. This cube never pops. And then he went on, and 10 seconds later, like half the cube was on the floor. And at that point, he got called up to go and solve. So that was like a very funny and uncomfortable moment for him.
Wow. That's a fun story.
Yeah.
Maybe not for the kid, but
he's a friend of mine still. He's a friend of mine.
Oh,
so
good.
Yeah, we have the best times.
Yeah, just you saying it's gonna pop, and then no, it's not.
Yeah,
just that sound. I'm sure everybody listening.
That was like, again, it was I think it was in 2014 when we used Shengshao 4x4s, and those were not that good and pretty pop pretty frequently. So yeah, it was very funny.
Yeah. I have two more questions before we start wrapping it up. What's the story of you getting sponsored by SCS?
So I had come back from the European Championship 2016, and I got a message from GAN saying they wanted to have me as a tester. And before that, I wasn't that familiar with like sponsorships and partnerships. Unfortunately, I wouldn't say unfortunately, because I don't regret not doing anything more with GAN, but the things with GAN didn't work out. And then I found out about SpeedCube Shop's sponsoring program, I should say. And I was always a really big fan of SpeedCube Shop. So I applied. And back then, the sponsorships worked like that you had some ranks. So I applied. I was like a very enthusiastic email, and I was just I would have been just happy with like a basic sponsorship, but I got the highest rank that you could get. And I remember going to bed and just seeing that I had another email, and I checked it, and I read it, and I was like, I was just lying in bed and I saw it. And as soon as I saw that I got the sponsorship and the highest rank, I just jumped out of bed, ran downstairs to tell my parents, only to find out that they were sleeping. So yeah, it was a very amazing experience. SpeedCube Shop has helped me a lot. And yeah, you spoke to the owner, Cameron Brown. Our relationship is very, very good. And I've enjoyed every moment, and I'm planning to enjoy many more moments with them.
Oh, good. What do you like most about Cameron's store?
So what I like a lot about Cameron's store, so SpeedCube Shop, is customer service has been like great. It has been very good. Like I ask them a question, for example, and I get a reply with a very patient employee, very like explaining everything that I could do or that is happening. Something that's not my personal experience, but I've had other people experience it, is for example, now they are offering lower shipping costs, and I saw a comment of somebody like saying, oh shoot, I ordered 2 days ago and now I'm not going to be able to get this discount, and they like commenting, just send us an email and we'll see what we can do for you. Like these little things are things that I really like. Also the custom setup cubes, Cosmic cubes and Nova cubes have been amazing. Like I've set my best times with them, and yeah, I think that's a very special thing. And yeah, obviously my personal relationship with Cameron has been very good, and I really respect that a lot. So that's why I really like it.
Oh, good. That's great to hear. Could you walk us through your sub 5 3x3 single? That's one other thing I wanted to hear about.
So I walked up to at this competition. My main goal was to get a sub 8 average. So that was my goal of the competition. A fun fact, I don't think I've ever mentioned this publicly. I just want to throw this in there. A friend of mine, his first ever official sub 8 was a sub 6. And he mentioned that to me at that competition. So I was like, well, if your first sub 8 is a sub 7, why can my first sub 6 be a sub 5? I actually mentioned that in at the competition, and the 4.9 was actually my first sub 5. So I go down, and as usual, I do my usual preparation before a solve, do some turns, take a deep breath, and just focus on the cube. So at first I saw that I could make a pretty easy. You use CFOB, right?
I do, yes.
Okay. So I saw a pretty easy X cross. So basically, when I formed the cross, it was one move away, so like a D or a D prime, and I saw I could do. I could insert an edge because a corner was solved on the D layer. I could insert an edge in 3 moves, and one of those moves canceled with my last move of my cross, if that makes sense. And then after that, I could also see my next pair after that in inspection. So I had my first 2 pairs down in inspection. And then while solving the second pair, I saw my third pair. Like I didn't actively look ahead, but I remember that I just saw it, and it also canceled a move solving the second and third pair. And then at that point, I noticed that I was going very fast, and I knew that the only slot that was left was the back left slot. So I just panicked and did a Y2, and the execution of that rotation was like, it was very, very bad, and it actually cost me. I would say it cost me getting world record single, but anyways, then I saw the last pair, and I saw the OLL, and with that OLL, when I see lots of bars, that means it's either gonna be a J perm, an N perm, or it's gonna skip. So I wasn't completely sure if it was going to skip just by looking at the OLL. So I did the ALG, and then I saw that the 2 faces that were visible, they were solved, and that made me realize I had a PLL skip. So then I just did AUF and finished the solve. And honestly, I mean, you can tell by the video, I was way more surprised than I was happy. I mean, I was very happy, obviously, but I was really, really surprised at my solve in the first place. So yeah, it was an amazing moment. And then straight afterwards, my dad, he put the camera into his laptop checking the video, and the delegate came up, and he was like, instead of being like a strict type of delegate saying, come here right now, we have to check the scramble, he was like very chill about it. He came up in a funny way, hey, I want to see some sub 5 solves. So yeah, it was a very cool experience. So yeah, definitely something I won't ever forget. It's just it's I'm very critical at myself. So I think the fact that I did the 4th pair in a bad way, like I'm not sure if you've seen the reconstruction, but I did a Y2 and then used R and U moves. So I could have just not done anything and used L moves and U moves, which wouldn't have been much worse. So I think the fact that I did that will haunt me for up until I beat the single. So that's the only unfortunate thing about it. But yeah, other than that, it was great.
Yeah. And this was like one of the first, I mean, they were like not super near the first, but like in the first dozen sub 5 official solves.
It was in fact, it was the fourth ever. It was fourth in the world. It was fourth in the world at the time, but I think it might have been like the sixth ever sub 4 or sub 5. What is a fun fact about it is that my 4.89 was the first sub 5 that wasn't a continental record or a world record. All other ones had been world records or continental records, but mine was just the national record.
Oh. And just so people listening know, this happened in 2017.
2017, yeah, in March 2017. So I had just been sponsored by Chi and Speed Cube Shop, and I remember very, very well that it was my first competition that I had the Team Chi jacket. So I just messaged to the Team Chi chat, hey guys, look, the jacket brought me luck and confidence already. So yeah, that was very nice, and obviously Speed Cube Shop reaction to that solve with 4.89 special. I'm not sure if you're aware of that. Was also very cool.
Yeah, so it kind of happened perfect timing after your sponsor.
It was perfect timing. Yeah.
What is something you've changed your mind about recently?
Wow, that's let me think. I think something that I've changed my mind about recently is how I'm gonna tackle schoolwork, how I'm gonna combine everything together. Okay, wait, I think I have something better. Okay, recently in the past year, my life has been very busy with school, cubing, obviously social activities with my friends here. I also try to go to the gym at least 3 times a week. So at first, my local friends invited me to go and play football, like at an actual team. And I was like, nah, guys. I mean, I used to play football 2 years ago in a team, but I stopped because it just got way too busy. And I was like, nah, I'm not really up for it. It's going to be way too busy and I'm not going to be able to manage it. But recently I've changed my mind about that. And I think the fact itself that I'm going to start playing football isn't the big of a deal, but I also chose it because I think I should have more experience with time management, because now I'm going to have school, cubing, social experience, like social moments with my friends. I'm going to still try to go to the gym. I'm still going to go try to attend cubing competitions. I need to have some relaxing time, homework, studying. I'm also going to start having driving lessons because I turned 18 in February and haven't had a lot of time since. So yeah, it's going to be very busy, but I think that's going to help me develop into the working life where everything is going to be busy. So yeah, that's something I've changed my mind about.
What's something you wished you learned earlier in your journey learning and improving on the Rubiks Cube?
On a Rubiks Cube.
Or any event.
So, wow. There are many things I would tell myself. I think the biggest is like in the scenario of me going back in time and being able to say something to myself.
Yeah.
Or, so definitely take advantage of the fact that I had more time. That definitely. And also to enjoy the moment a bit more. Like now, my goal was always to be a competitive speed cuber. Like I think I've reached that level in some events. But honestly, it has been fun, but going to competitions and not only having expectations for yourself, but also having other people having expectations for you is really stressful, and it makes it a little bit less fun. So I'd say take advantage of every moment when you have free time, like as somebody who's a bit younger, and also like enjoy every moment of cubing, because you don't know when things are going to start becoming less fun, or when you're going to be forced to stop.
Okay. Where can people find you and your stuff on the internet?
So I have a YouTube channel. It's Antonie Paterakis. I post competition videos, sometimes some other cubing related videos. I also have an Instagram called the 2x2 Addict, which used to be my YouTube username. And I try to post a bit more frequently on there, like when I'm at competitions and other updates. I'm pretty active on those. I also have an Instagram, I also have a Facebook page, but I haven't been active on that at all, because I figured Instagram is a better medium. So if you want, you can follow me on Instagram. I think it's Antonie Paterakis Speedcuber, but I'm not active on that at all, basically.
Okay, and I'll have links to all that stuff and everything we mentioned in the show notes to this episode on the website, thecornercutterpodcast.com. Antonie, thanks so much for taking the past 45 minutes to talk with me, and best of luck on your cubing endeavors.
Thank you so much, Josh. It was a great time being on here. I was looking forward to it a lot. You have the best of luck too with your cubing and podcast career.
Wow, that was a great interview. Antonie shared some great stories, which were really fun. It would be great to get him back on the podcast again sometime. If you have any comments or questions, you can email in josh@thecornercutterpodcast.com, and make sure to check the show notes for links to other stuff we mentioned as well. Just a couple other things before we wrap this episode up. I'll only be making magnetic clocks through the summer. So if you want to get one, make sure to go to thecornercutterpodcast.com/magnetic clocks and fill out the form there. And I'm cutting back on making clocks because of how time consuming it is. And once I start school in the fall, I definitely won't have any time for that on top of the podcast. I'll still be selling magnets though, so if you want to buy a clock or buy some magnets, just go to thecornercutterpodcast.com/clockmagnets or /magnetic clock. Either one is fine, and fill out the form there. And then the other thing is time to answer question of the month, and you can send in an audio answer. Just go to thecornercutterpodcast.com/feedback, click on record an audio message, and the question is, what is the closest time in minutes you've ever traveled to a competition? I know lots of people have to travel quite a ways to get to a competition, but what's the closest one's ever been to you? So, was it 20 minutes or 2 hours? Let me know. thecornercutterpodcast.com/feedback. So, time to take this episode back to the scrambling table, and I'll talk to you guys again next week in episode 82 of the Corner Cutter Podcast.
thank you for joining us for episode 81. Was that good?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay. All right. Wait, is it actually episode 81?
It's going to be, yeah.
That's so funny because back in the day when I joined Speaking Shop, we had numbers like team numbers on the back. We don't use that anymore, but back in 2017 we did, and I had number 81 actually.
Oh, really? Cool.
Yeah, actually, yeah, that's very funny.
Nice. So maybe I can use that somewhere or somehow.
Yeah,